Hadith, Muslims who are disbelievers. This one is from the Sahih al-Bukhari collection 6606. Narrated Abu Huraira. We witnessed along with Allah's Messenger the Khaibar campaign. Allah's Messenger told his companions about a man who claimed to be a Muslim. This man is from the people of the fire, he said. When the battle started, the man fought very bravely and received a great number of wounds and got crippled. On that, a man from among the companions of the Prophet came and said, Allah's apostle, do you know what the man you described as the people of the fire has done? He has fought very bravely for Allah's cause, and he has received many wounds. The Prophet said, but he is indeed one of the people of the fire. Some of the Muslims were about to have some doubt about that statement. So while the man was in that state, the pain caused by the wounds troubled him so much that he put his hand into his quiver and took out an arrow and committed suicide with it. Off went some men from among the Muslims to Allah's Messenger, that's Muhammad, by the way, and said, O Allah's Messenger, Allah has made your statement true. So-and-so has committed suicide. Allah's Messenger said, O Bilal, get up and announce in public, none will enter paradise but a believer, and Allah may support this religion, Islam, with a wicked man. That was a long one. So just in case that wasn't clear, here's a short summary of this hadith. A man who claimed to be a believer and appeared to be a believer to everyone else was seen by Muhammad for what he really was, a person of the fire. Of course, this was not apparent to everyone until this person got wounded, he couldn't handle the pain, and he killed himself, making Muhammad right in the end. Now, there are two things I think you need to know to understand this. First, suicide in Islam, as I understand it, is a straight ticket to hell. That's not surprising. Christianity is pretty much the same way. But there's way more here. He killed himself only after he ran into a difficult situation. And second, Muhammad is likely using this man as an example of a hypocrite, of a believer on the outside, but not on the inside. And one other thing, too. You may have noticed there are proper names here, but the name of the man who was the sort of secret unbeliever is not given. And a major reason for that is, personally, I doubt this story is actually true, in that it's clearly a parable. You know, just like Jesus would tell parables, the Good Samaritan was not a person that existed. This unbeliever I wouldn't say almost surely, but very likely, in my opinion, did not exist. Now, just look back at the language by the person who is telling this story. He's not saying he saw it. He said Muhammad was telling his people about the situation. And really, again, I doubt Muhammad was telling this as a literal story. Now, I should say that this story is in some Muslim histories, even with a name sometimes, Kuzman, a stranger from an unknown place. But really, I don't think that actually changes that much. This just doesn't read like an actual historical account. It just really sounds like a parable. And it's a parable with some Christian themes, if you look a bit closer at it. Because this is, in many ways, a Muslim version of the parable of the sower. Now, here's a quick version of the parable of the sower, for those of you who haven't heard it or may want a refresher. Now, pay very special attention to the part about the rocky, shallow soil. A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Now some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil, and it sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they were withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seeds fell on good soil, where it produced a crop, 160, 30 times what was sown. Now, I'm not going to explain what all those mean. I think most of you do. If not, it's pretty easy to look up. But for us here, the key part is the explanation that Jesus gives for the seed that fell on the rocky soil. The seed falling on rocky ground refers to someone who hears the word and at once receives it with joy. This is not me talking. This is Jesus talking, by the way. But since they have no root, they last only a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. So you probably see the parallel. This outwardly Muslim man may have been a hypocrite in the classic Muslim sense. He believed on the outside, but when the time came to really put up or shut up, he simply took his life. He is shown to ultimately be a person of the fire, even though other people thought he was a believer. And Muhammad is saying he was a person of the fire all along. He was happy to be a great warrior and receive praise. But when the time came to do something he did not want to do, he proved to be a disbeliever all along. But there is also a different way to look at this, to look at it through the lens of the parable of the sower, seeing this more in line with the complexities of human nature rather than the simple believer-disbeliever lens. This man, remember, I think he's a metaphor rather than a real person, no more real than the Good Samaritan. So again, we can say whatever we want about him, we're not slandering anybody. Perhaps this man really was a believer. He was fervent and true and thrilled to walk the righteous path. He sprung up right away in the shallow soil, but he had no root, and so when difficulty came, he gave up on his faith quickly. The festering wounds overcame him, and he did not have the faith to heal or bear the pain. So he took his own life, killing himself with his own arrow. Now, how does one do that? How do you kill yourself with your own arrow? I think, and it seems to be generally inferred, that this hypothetical person slit his wrist with one of his arrows. But that's a maybe. I mean, what else could it be? Otherwise, the first time you're looking at this with great confusion, as I have, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But the point is, he did something he was not supposed to do. He did something he knew God would not want him to do, either because he was a hypocrite or because his faith was shallow. And it's an interesting story either way. And it really makes you think a bit deeper about things, which is what a good parable is designed to do. Thank you, and I'll talk to you next time. Inshallah.